Coming up, what to teach your children, or do you want to teach your children about the art of saving? Well, you could start by giving them an allowance. Find out how starting young could make them better money managers later on in life.
You're watching Canada AM on CTV.
Okay, if your kids do the time, do they deserve to get the dime? Or at least that's what some parents believe when it comes to giving their kids an allowance. But setting up the rules about what is to be done and for how much can be a pretty daunting task. Our next guests, Harvey, Beck and Leslie Routhier, have developed a program that will help families create an allowance system. Their program, Active Allowance, makes the whole earning, spending, saving and learning process easy to do, and great to hear about it. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
People have such varying opinions on whether or not to install an allowance program, and then how much, and then what happens if they don't. Tell me the premise of the Active Allowance program.
Well, the real reason that we started it was that we really thought about what we wanted to be teaching our kids. Things like being responsible, having good values, good judgment, having confidence, and then to grow up as kids to have those same qualities when they're managing their money. So this was a great way to start doing that when they have money and an allowance. They start managing their money, they make choices. What great life skills. So we started Active Allowance.
Well, and you have 4 children.
Yes, we do.
Well, in fact, we spent a long time reading and researching and studying, trying to find out what a good process would be. And there are a lot of ideas. It's a mountain of ideas out there. The real problem was there were so few tools.
If you give a child, and I'll just pick a nominal amount, $5 a week, and then there maybe is a list of things that they are expected to do with or without an allowance as a member of a family, and then they're expected to do certain tasks to get that $5. What if they don't do it?
Well, really you have the choice of linking your allowance to your responsibilities or not. So that's a decision you have to make, and you can do it either way on Active Allowance. In our family, we actually link the responsibilities and the allowance. So if the kids don't do things that they're responsible for during the week, they don't get as much allowance.
And what are the kinds of tasks that in your program, or maybe even your family, if you don't mind sharing that they're expected to do?
Well, there are all kinds of tasks broken up by daytime, things like don't make getting ready for carpool in the morning a nightmare. You know? Get into without nagging. So things that are very individual for every family. Other kids that may not be an issue for our kids, carpool's an issue. Things like making their beds, feeding the dog. You have total flexibility to make whatever's important in your family and what you want your kids to be responsible for. You could make that list whatever you choose.
And what do you say then, Harvey, to the people that say, well, you're rewarding them for behavior and actions that they should be doing anyway?
Well, you know, we've learned it's a little bit like religion and politics.
Yeah.
There are many people who say, if you don't connect the responsibilities that they have with their allowance, and you just give them an allowance anyway, what are you teaching them then?
Right.
Money grows on trees and it's free. Others say just what you did, that they should do things as part of the family, and an allowance is something extra for something special. Active Allowance lets you do both.
And it also teaches them, I mean, some of the other benefits, I mean, these are the circles, I guess, if you will. I mean, the stuff that we've been talking about, the core part of the allowance program. And then there are rings outside of that, and I guess even mathematics to some degree.
Well, one of the interesting things, just to give you an example, one of the things in our house that happened, our older son, a couple of years ago, wanted to buy a new skateboard. And I mean, if I had been buying it for him, as before this system I would have gone to Toys R Us and bought the $30 skateboard for him. But he really wanted the high-tech skateboard. So he, under this system, had the ability to make the choice to cut back on his movies and his candies and other things like that in order to take that money, and he went and bought the expensive skateboard and never regretted it, which even if he had regretted it, it's still a valuable lesson, so it's still learning. But you know, he learned something from that, and that that kind of learning really stands you in good stead as an adult as well.
Well, if there are parents at home that want to learn a little bit more about Active Allowance, you can do so at activeallowance.com. I believe there's also a link on our website. Harvey and Leslie, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.